Hello and welcome to the workout. Today we've got legs, shoulders, and abs. If this is your first time here, please say hello. I'm Holly. Today we are going to be doing a strength-based workout. We're putting two exercises back to back into what's called a superset. Your job is to do those two exercises back to back with no rest in between. Then we'll take a short rest after each superset. 5 different supersets, so it's a total of 10 exercises for legs, shoulders, and abs. If you've got an exercise bench, that would be great, or some surface to step onto. If you have ankle weights, that would be great, and if you have a barbell, but you don't need any of that equipment. Everything that we're gonna be doing with that equipment, you can do without it. You could use a kitchen chair, a dining room chair, a couch, a sofa, a piano bench, anything like that for one of the exercises or for stepping. And everything else you can do either with a circular hip band or dumbbells. And if you're new to your strength training journey, you can just do body weight only. Your job is to count out 12 repetitions for every single exercise. Now listen, this is technically a strength workout, so I really want the last 2 repetitions of those 12 repetitions of every single set to be challenging. So if you're getting to the end of a set and you get to 12 reps and you're still going strong, that's your feedback that you're not going heavy enough. You really should have to work on those last 2 reps. I should want you to be like, oh my gosh, almost cursing out Holly Perkins because the weight load is challenging, and that's on you. It's also your job to count your repetitions to make sure that you're equal on left and right, because the truth is, I'm here to teach you. I don't always count right, and you know what? I let go of that need to do that years ago. Let's get it started. We're gonna go through a little preparatory sequence before we actually get into the workout. Take your feet separated and let's take a big inhale up. Stretching up. Don't just lift your arms. Reach up for the ceiling, exhale it out, and let's do that again. So when your arms are up, lengthen as long as you can. Up, 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 out of your waist, out of your hips, exhale it out, and do that one more time. Big inhale up. Reach, 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 lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Exhale, bring your hands back behind you, interlock your fingers, press them away, let your chest open. We're opening up the shoulders a little bit because this is gonna be a shoulder workout, so I wanna make sure that your shoulders are back in space so that when we activate those shoulder muscles, the joint will be in a good place. And relax, take your feet separated, take a look down, feet should be truly parallel. Then, I want you to bend your knees. Then, push your hips back. Make sure you've got an arch in your lower back, and we're gonna come to side, a little shallow to begin. And then as you start to warm into this movement, as you start to open up through the inner thigh, the adductors, as the hips start to get a little unstickied, we're gonna sit a little bit deeper, and you can come down super deep, reaching across the foot, sitting very deeply into the heel, pressing your hips back. Really press your hips back. Do make sure that you're keeping a little bit of an arch in your lower back. Neutral, natural, arch, while you're also keeping your abs strong and tight. So you don't want to just arch your lower back and release your abs. Keep them strong so that you're still bracing, but your lower back is designed to have a little bit of a natural neutral curvature to it. Couple more here, and then relax. All I want you to do is just turn to your left so that you're in a split squat position. Feet are separated from left to right. So take a look down. Make sure you've got space between your right and your left foot so that they're not directly in front of each other. Arms come up over your head, you're on your back toe. I want you to push way up high onto that back toe. That's gonna start to bring flexion into the foot. Activate that back calf, open up the hip, and I just want you to hang out here for a moment. Squeeze that glute. Really squeeze this booty glutey cheek. Squeeze it because it's gonna open up the hip, and then I just want you to come down and up 12 times. We're gonna be doing split squat in today's workout, and so this will serve as a bit of a preparation before we get to that exercise. 12 times, and then we'll make sure we do the same on the other side. If that back toe is uncomfortable, I encourage you to just try to work through it and with it gently, because if you've got immobile feet, this can be uncomfortable on that back toe. 12 reps, and relax, and let's just turn and do the same on the other side. So first, turn and then take a look down and make sure that there is space from left to right between your feet. Otherwise, you're gonna lose your balance. Press up onto the ball of that back foot, opening up the front of the hip. Squeeze that booty. Squeeze that glutey cheek to open up the hip flexor and start to prepare the foot and the lower back, lengthening up towards the ceiling. And then from here, we've got 12, straight down and up. So a split squat's tricky, and I would argue split squat's one of the hardest exercises of them all, especially for women. There's a lot of technique, but there's also, it really highlights weaknesses in the hamstrings and the glutes. And as you know, in my experience of 30 years coaching women, 99.9% of humans have weak glutes. And so when you do an exercise like this, it really highlights weak glutes and hamstrings. It also really highlights tight hip flexors, which are the result of weak glutes. And so if you find this exercise, just uncomfortable or difficult, welcome to the club. I think to some degree that's totally normal, simply because it's such a challenging exercise. And relax, come to center, feet together, take a look down. Lower your center of gravity by bending both knees. And definitely bend those knees. Put your body weight over under your right leg, find your balance. Keep that knee bent. Keep that knee bent. Now, if you can bring your foot up and you can hang out here without wobbling, I want you to use your gaze to look around the room to intentionally throw your balance off. So if you're like, oh, nice and stable and professional looking, that's not the goal. You don't want to pat yourself on the back for that. That's actually not doing the exercise. The exercise is intentionally trying to lose your balance so that all of your musculature has to fight to regain and hold your balance. That's what we're going for here. That's what's gonna fire up that glute medius. It prepares the arch of the foot, the toes, the ankle, everything. It's such a good exercise. Great for core control and balance. Keep the knee bent so that we can get those hamstrings firing. And if you start to feel some warming or some burning in the foot or the lower leg, that's normal. That's a good sign as well. But really use your vision to look around. That should be throwing your balance off. Switch sides so that you're then counterbalancing, okay? Make sure the knee is bent, super important. Common thing I see a lot on this exercise is people lock out their knee. The reason you lock out your knee is so that you use your quads and you don't use your weak hamstrings. That's why I want you to have it bent, because I want you to start to fire up and use those hamstrings. And so many women are quad dominant. When you're quad dominant, you'll always put your body into a position so that your quads can stay dominant. And so you'll just automatically, I did this for years in my 20s, you come to here because you're quad dominant, your quad wants to do everything. But the truth is, we don't want that. We want you to use your hamstrings. So the knee has to be bent in order to effectively use your hamstrings. Look all over. If you feel that arch grabbing, you're on the right path. Let that arch warm up and fire up. Might even feel it in the ankle. Like I said, lower leg gets warm, or the calf. So good for balance as well. And relax. One more move and then we'll get into the workout. Feet together. I want you to take a big reach up. And then we're gonna come back into a full runner's lunge for a stretch. Reach up, repeat. We're just gonna alternate sides. Coming into runner's lunge here. Moving at a speed that feels good for you. This is a preparatory move. I love this because it's gonna get your heart rate up. It also is great for mobility. Reach high like we did at the beginning. If you push into your heel on the front leg here, if you do that, you're gonna get that glute hamstring firing so that those muscle groups are active and prepared for the workout. Letting your back knee gently tap down onto the ground so that you get a bit of the hip opening, hip flexor opening. Big reach up, letting that heart rate come up, get the blood going, and just get you ready for an awesome workout. 2 more. 1 more, and let's get into the workout. let me show you our first 2 exercises. You can go at your own pace. I recommend 2 sets of the superset, but if you want a harder workout today, do a 3rd superset while I'm showing you the next exercises. We're gonna start on the ground. We've got a glute and an ab exercise. So we're gonna be starting with glute bridge. You can have a circular hip band around your knees if you want. You can also just grab a dumbbell. You can also do this body weight. First exercise, you're gonna take your feet separated, drive your elbows into the ground, and we're just coming into a glute bridge. You could do it body weight only, a band around your knees. You can also put a dumbbell on your hips. Second exercise, using that same dumbbell, it comes up over your head. Using the strength of your abdomen, you're gonna come up and bring that dumbbell to the tippy top of your knees and down. Now, if you don't have to do it with the dumbbell either. You can do it just like this without the dumbbell, and you can also do it with a lighter dumbbell. The idea is to bring your torso to about 45 degrees here. You're not coming all the way up, that's not the goal. About 45 degrees. Cool? Grab your dumbbell or your body weight or your circular hip band. Let's go glute bridge first. Drive those elbows down into the ground so that the shoulders are pressing towards the ground, and here we go. We want 12 here, but the thing is, depending on your skill level, I want the 12 to be challenging. So you've got to use a heavier dumbbell or a barbell here, depending on your fitness level. You could have a 20, 30, 40 pound dumbbell on your hips, pad it if you need to. You can also do this with no dumbbell at all. Like I said, you can just put a circular hip band around the knees, and that will be your resistance. 12 reps, really driving into the glutes, feeling that at the top, pausing at the top if your weight load isn't challenging enough. 2 more, and then we're gonna go into our ab exercise. I call this a 45-degree ab. It actually comes from physical therapy. Dumbbell is in between the hands, up over your head. Use the strength of your abs to pull you up. Dumbbell comes to the knees. So this is a weighted exercise, okay? And therefore, because we're weighting it with a dumbbell, you really only need to do about 12 or 15. Now, if you're not using a dumbbell, that's fine. And if you want to do more repetitions, that's cool too. If you want to do 20 or 30 or however many here for your abs, you can. I love training abs like any other muscle group by adding resistance, because why do we not train our abs like we train our legs? By adding resistance, right? That's a funny thing if you think about it. I'm not sure why. I think it's just, to get ripped abs and tight abs, the fitness industry kind of got obsessed with high repetition, muscular endurance exercises. But if you treat your ab muscles just like you treat your quads, and you start loading your ab exercises, this is one of my favorites, you really get much better results. 12 here, and then we're gonna take a short break. While we're taking that short break, let's just go through a little stretch. Both knees into your chest, pull them in. Now remember, you can move faster or slower than me. You can do 3 total supersets. The point of taking this short rest in between is so that you can come back for the second set and be recovered and strong and work harder. So if you don't need a rest, you're not working hard enough in the set. And that's your job, is to work what we call the intra-set intensity. In my workouts, the intensity should be in the reps, not in the workout. Your intensity should be in the reps. Every set should be super challenging, not the overarching workout in general. Grab a dumbbell if that's right for you, and here we go. Second set. Make sure that you're keeping your hips tucked under a little bit at the top. It feels so good when you do that. So good. Really tuck the hips under here so that you're not just hyper arching in your lower back. This really is a hip and pelvic movement, and you want that, what we call posterior tilt to the pelvis. You want to tuck your pelvis back, and what that means to tuck your pelvis back is that you're tucking them under opening up the hips and just really loading the glutes a little bit more. Plus it just feels super good. That's also gonna alleviate any overuse of your lower back muscles. But you are gonna use your lower back muscles here. So, don't be confused about that. A lot of times people are like, when I do that exercise, I feel it in my lower back. You're gonna feel it in your lower back. You're using your lower back muscles as well. And relax, and let's go into our second set of abs. So if you are using a dumbbell here like me, you really want to use the strength of your abdomen to pull you to this upper position here. Use the strength of your abs. You're not just whipping your dumbbell to pull you up. That's not what we're doing here. You're using the strength of your abdomen to put the dumbbell up towards the knees, bringing your body to about a 45-degree angle. Sorry, bringing your torso here is at about a 45-degree angle. And just really mentally do it from your abs, because the more you put your mental intention into this exercise, it's so good. This is from physical therapy, actually. I learned this exercise when I injured my back. As you guys know, a lot of my favorite exercises come from physical therapy, come from my years of working with physical therapists and professional athletes, because a lot of the exercises they use to fix an injured joint is great for prevention. Couple more here, and then I'm going to show you our next two exercises. Should be challenging. You should feel your abs. You really should feel your abs working. I mean, my abs feel good, so active there. Come over onto a crouched position here as you come up off the floor. So take a moment, you can come to your hands and knees. I want you to just come to a crouched position for a moment, and let's rock back and forward, bringing some of that flexion to the front of the feet and the toes. Rocking forward and back. The more uncomfortable this is for you, the more you need to be doing this every single day. If this is uncomfortable on your toes, promise me you'll start doing it every day, because if it's uncomfortable, that means you've got reduced mobility at the toe joint, and we really want to open that up. And I know it seems so like counter-logical to be like, this is painful, why would I do it more? But when it comes to joint restriction, we actually do have to kind of work through some of that discomfort, and especially on the toes, to get that mobility back. So from here, come to a crouched position. I want you to slowly come up. When you get there, please lift your knees. I don't want you to get dizzy, super important. Next two exercises, if you've got ankle weights, grab them. If you don't, you can use a circular hip band. You can also just do body weight only. You can do this exercise from the ground, but I'm gonna show you from an exercise bench, because it's extra good from an exercise bench, okay? Both of our exercises we're gonna do on the bench, and like I said, you can do both of these exercises on the floor. So don't get thrown, but if you've got ankle weights, let's go ahead and put them on. And if you don't worry about it, or use a circular hip band just below your knees. Actually, sorry, just above your knees, okay? First exercise is leg extension, hip extension here. Little arch in your lower back, not rounding your back. Little neutral arch. One leg is coming up, squeeze and relax it down. 12 repetitions on each leg. You only want to bring your leg just a little above parallel. We're not coming way up. That's not the goal. A little above parallel so that you really hit glutes and hamstrings. Then you flip over. You could do this on the ground, okay? Flip over. If you're on the ground, you might want to put your hands behind your head, or you might want to anchor your elbows at your sides. If you've got a surface to lay on like me, you're going to anchor it here, legs together, up. With those ankle weights, you're going to lower one leg down, bring it up, and the other. Depending on how heavy your ankle weights are, you might need to move a bit more slowly here. You might need to take your time and be a little cautious, because we are loading our ab exercise. Cool? Let's do it. Leg, hip extension. If you've got your ankle weights, go for it. Otherwise, put your band above your knees. And you could do body weight only. If you're doing body weight only here, I want you to really give me a nice long pause at the top. We've got 12. There's one. Tummy drawn in so that you've got that neutral, natural curvature in your lower back. But still, pull your tummy in, pull your abs in. Really, really, really important. Leg is coming up just above parallel to the ground. The hip doesn't change. One of the biggest mistakes I see so many people make is they move that hip. They almost like do this. They almost do like a seesaw with their hip. Nothing should move except your leg. All of the work, all of the focus is going on to primarily the glute with some hamstring of that moving leg. But you gotta lock everything off to make that happen. 12 reps, and then we're gonna go right to the other side. Tummy drawn in, neutral, natural, arch, curvature in that lower back. Oh, does that not feel good? So if you sit a lot during the week, which I think is the majority of people, I know some people have occupations and lives where they don't sit that much, but most people sit a lot. This is one of the best antidotes to sitting because it really directly activates the glutes, gets that glute tissue firing again, and it also wakes up the hamstrings. So when I have weeks where I sit a lot, I'm often doing this throughout the day just to get my glutes firing again because it feels so good. It helps to open up the front of the hip. It's gonna reduce hip tightness. So if you've got hips that bother you at all, this is such a good exercise. And 12 reps, and then you're just gonna flip over onto your back. And then again, remember, you can do this on the ground. Both of these you can do on the ground. But if you do have a surface, anchor yourself with your hands here or over your head. You can anchor at your head if you want. Bring your knees into your chest. Both legs are up. Draw into your abdomen. Draw your abs in super, super tight. Bend your knees if you need to. Lower one leg down until you just get the right amount of challenge. And you might not even need to lower your legs a whole lot. You might go part of the way down. But if you can come all the way down and tap the floor, or if you're on a bench like me, just come down until that leg is basically in alignment with the rest of your body. Really draw into your abs, and we're gonna do 12 on each side, which is a total of 24. Again, bend your knees if you need to. And you can take the ankle weights off too. You don't have to use ankle weights here. It's just a great way, like I was saying on our last leg exercise, it's a great way to load the abs. So why are we doing high repetition exercises for the abs, but we do 10 or 12 reps for every other muscle group? Have you ever thought about that? Why are the abs treated differently, right? If you're gonna strengthen a muscle, it's about overloading it, challenging it so that 10 or 12 reps are hard. And to me, the abs are the same. I think it's just kind of outdated practice. And so an exercise like this is so good to get in there and just actually load this movement pattern. Okay, 12 on each side. We're gonna take a short break. And then we've got these two exercises. Again, bring your knees into your chest and rest. If you're on the floor, you can rock side to side. I wouldn't advise that if you're on an exercise bench. Pull your knees into your chest, pull your toes up toward your face, pull in deeply to get that hip compression. It's so good. Short little break, and we're gonna go back for our second set. So if you're using ankle weights and those two exercises weren't super challenging, put some more weight into your ankle weights. And if you're part of my community and you've been around for a while, you know these are the ankle weights that I love. They have these little metal bars that you can put in so that you can change the weight load of the ankle weight. Mine right now are at 4 pounds, and you can change that weight from half a pound to 5 pounds. And again, if you don't have an ankle weight, don't worry. I just love ankle weights. I think that they are so useful. So let's go, second set. Give me a pause at the top if the weight load is a little easy for you. The easier the weight load, the longer you pause. You pause, pause, and squeeze. Hold the position, and mentally really think about activating into the muscle group that we're really focused on here. It's glutes. The hamstrings are gonna work on their own. You almost don't even really need to think about it. But you do need to think about your glutes. Glutes get so sleepy. They really do. That's why I created the Glutes Project, because if you're not actively, mentally really focusing on keeping your glutes activated and strong, they get so sleepy and so weak, even if you exercise. Switch sides. The glutes are really unusual and unique in that even let's say you're a runner, or you walk, or you lift weights, or you do CrossFit, or you do whatever, or yoga, the truth is the glutes don't get strong unless you're specifically focusing on them. I can't tell you how many people, and even athletes that I've worked with, who are in great shape, squatting and deadlifting and doing all these things, but because they never really focused on powering their glutes, the glutes are underdeveloped. So you really have to be mentally conscious about activating the glutes. This is one of the exercises that is just so good, and you can feel it, right? Can't you feel how much that really just hits the glutes? And if you don't, give me a pause. Come up and pause and hold and hold and hold and hold. Especially if you've got an ankle weight, you're really gonna feel that exercise in the glutes and the hamstrings. So good, 12 reps. And then we flip over for our ab exercise. And if it's an exercise that I love, I do tend to do a few extra reps. I don't count, but I wouldn't be surprised if I do about 15 sometimes because they just feel so good. I get into it and I'm like, oh, I don't want to stop. Okay, leg lowering. Find a way to anchor yourself, knees in, legs up. If you're limited by flexibility, just keep your knees bent. I've got good flexibility. I've been practicing this exercise for so long, so I make it look easy, but just bend your knees if there's something about the top position that's not working for you. Just bend your knees, and you can also reduce the distance of how far the leg is moving, right? But if you can get to the point where you're really bringing that leg all the way down so that it's in alignment with the body, or if you're on the floor, the heel will gently tap the floor. If you can get into that full 90 degrees between your legs like that, it is so incredible for core control, pelvic strengthening. You get actually really nice glute strengthening in a way to improve knee health. So it's just such a good exercise. You do want to keep a little bit of an arch in your lower back. Don't try to be flattening your lower back. There are other voices out in the fitness industry that will tell you to flatten your back on ab exercises. I don't agree with that. If your back flattens out naturally a little, that's okay. But I don't want you intentionally pushing your lower back into the floor. That's kind of 80s cueing. And it's no longer accurate. So don't intentionally push your lower back into the floor. If it goes there, fine, but I want you thinking about really activating the front of your core. 24 in total, 12 on each side. Unless it's too easy, you can do more. If you're doing this without ankle weights, you can do more. And if you're doing it with ankle weights, 12 on each leg, you should feel it. It should definitely be like, oh, hello. And relax. Bring your knees to your chest when you hit the end of your set. Rest for a moment. If you're on the floor, roll side to side. If you're on an exercise bench with me, just use a little bit of momentum to bring yourself up. That's also great to train your abs. Go ahead and take those ankle weights off and you can get rid of them. They are done for the workout. And then let me show you our next two exercises. You're gonna want your elevated surface, whether that is a chair, it could also be your couch. It could be pretty much anything. In a perfect world, this elevated surface, let me show you. In a perfect world, your elevated surface is at about the bottom of your knee, at the bottom edge of your knee, or a little below. You don't want your surface much higher than your knee. And so it's not that this should be a certain height, because if you're 5'7", that's different than if you're 5'2". So stand next to your bench. Ideally, it'll be around the height of your knee. First exercise is a Bulgarian split squat. So I do find I've really changed over the years that I love to start this exercise from the bottom. So you bring your feet together, you bend your knees, you bring one foot back, but it's really good if you come down to the bottom of the move here and kind of get yourself in position. You're gonna feel a little stretch in your quads, but in your back quad, but your focus is on the front leg, and we're coming straight up and then straight down. 12 on each leg. You can hold dumbbells if you want. 12 and 12. Next exercise, one of my favorites. You've got dumbbells, feet under the hips, dumbbell upright row. You know I love dumbbell upright row. You could do this with a barbell. You can also do this with a handled resistance band if you want. Let's do that Bulgarian split squat. So you take a step away from your surface, feet together, bend your knees, bring one foot back, come down to the ground, get into position. Get into comfy position. You want this knee above the toe, above the forefoot, just a little bit, and here we go. You got 12 reps here. Focusing on that front leg. So just forget about what your back leg is doing. Focus on your front leg. Back leg is gonna get a stretch right there in the quad at the bottom. Drive into the front heel. At the bottom, listen up, your knee might be above, directly above the front toe. It might even be in front of that front toe a little bit, and that is okay. Okay, you don't have to worry about keeping this knee behind the toes. That too is 80s outdated thinking. So we want the knee actually directly above the toe, or maybe even a hair in front of the toe, believe it or not. Switch feet, same setup, bend your knees, foot back, come down to the bottom to get into position and get it set, a little stretch in that back quad. And then from here, we're pressing into the front heel, opening up the hip at the top, really open up that hip. 12 reps, you can have a barbell on your shoulders, you can have dumbbells in your hands, you can have one dumbbell at your chest, goblet squat style, and you can just do it body weight only. I did this exercise a couple days ago, loaded, and I am sore. I am so sore, so I'm still feeling it. So today is body weight only for me to work out those kinks, drive into that front heel, pushing into the arch, 12 reps, and let's go into that dumbbell upright row. Grab a challenging weight load, maybe 5s, 8s, 10s or more, depending on your ability. Feet are under the hips. If you have pretty good shoulders, your ending position here is gonna be elbows above the shoulders, here. If you've got slightly problematic shoulders, you're gonna end with your dumbbells at about the same height or position as the shoulder, here. Okay, and you feel into it. But if you've got pretty good shoulders, I really love pulling those elbows nice and high, keeping your chest lifted. And even though your elbows are coming up high here, you still want your shoulder girdle to release down and back. Okay, so even though the arms are up, you should release into the shoulder girdle so that your shoulders release down, even at the top of the exercise, okay? Short break, we'll do it again. What I'm talking about there is you always want your shoulders back in space and down, even when you're bringing your arms up. Because when you're doing an upright row, there's a tendency to come forward and do this, right? But we still want the shoulders back and down when we're coming into an upright row, which is why your top position might get limited depending on your shoulder mobility. But ultimately, healthy shoulders should be able to end here, elbows higher, slightly higher than the shoulders. Second set, grab your weights if you need them, feet together, bend your knees, foot on that back surface, come down to the bottom, and at the bottom, you wanna be set up so that this knee is over the toe, above the toe, or above your shoelaces. That's where you wanna begin. Push into that front leg, and we've got 12. That generally will set up anybody for perfect positioning, okay? It really does. That start at the bottom, because a lot of times when we start from the top, and I do this all the time, you have to go through a few reps to really kind of figure out your perfect positioning. But if you start from the bottom, you'll often hit that perfect bottom position, and then you can keep going, okay? Driving into that front heel, really opening the hip at the top, right there. Let's go 2 more. So for those of you guys that know me, you know I'm in Pennsylvania. This is my Pennsylvania studio. Some of you know that right out there is a big, huge meadow. And so I've got my door open and I'm looking out on the meadow today. There is the most beautiful red fox just outside my door walking through the field right now. And it's just so cool to see the wildlife. Start from the bottom, check that knee position. Driving, he's just hanging out in the middle of the field. It's turkey hunting season, by the way. And here's this little red fox, just hanging out all by himself. Drive into that front heel. Standing up super tall, letting that back hip open. at the top. One of my favorite exercises, but you know, this is basically a split squat in a different position. And remember what I said about split squat during our warm-up. I really believe split squats are probably the hardest exercise out there. And so is this. This is a hard exercise. So if you're newer to it, definitely get good at it, which is body weight only, before you add dumbbells or a barbell. Upright row, shoulders back and down, right? Shoulders back and down, like crazy. Lock them there, then pull your elbows up. Doesn't that feel better? So if you've got shoulder issues, there too, bringing your shoulders back and down before you come into this sets that shoulder girdle up for magic. And you'll notice you feel the work and the effort on your deltoids more and less in the way that your shoulder bothers you if you've got shoulder issues. So shoulders back and down is the golden rule of all strength training, all exercises, but it's extra here. 12 reps, short break. Let me show you our next two exercises. Again, super helpful to have a stepping surface. If you've got a barbell and you want to use it, this superset can work awesome with a barbell. I'll probably do it that way. I'm gonna demonstrate it body weight only. You could do both of these with dumbbells though, okay? So stepping surface, it could be a step, a staircase, a chair, piano bench, a footrest, whatever you have. But first exercise, we're doing step ups. So if you've got a barbell, this is great because you could use your barbell or dumbbells here. We're leading. So right leg up, right leg down for 12, then we'll do the other 12. Immediately after that, we're gonna go into overhead press, but you can do this with a barbell, and I probably will. So dumbbells or a band, overhead press. If you have a barbell, you'll be able to go straight from your stepping exercise into this overhead press. Now remember, especially on this set, this exercise, superset, you want your 12 reps to be challenging. So right now, go get yourself a weight load where these 12 reps are going to be challenging, like truly challenging. And we've got step ups first, going right into that overhead press. And then again, listen, just because I'm using my barbell doesn't mean you have to, okay? You can do dumbbells and you can do body weight only. You don't even have to add a weight load to this if you don't want to. So right foot up, here we go, 12 reps. Cycling through so that you're leading with that right leg up, right leg down. And when you're coming down, you want to think about the opposite leg. So if you are leading with that right leg here, on the way down, you actually do want to put lots of mental focus and intention into the other leg to lower you. Don't just step down all sloppy. Use that top leg here to intentionally lower you down. That way, you're getting an eccentric strengthening of the leg that's following. In this example, it's your left leg if you're stepping on your right. 12 reps, both legs. Same on the other side, leading, left up, left down. Left up, left down. Standing up super tall, keeping your chest up, tummy drawn in, pressing into the arch of that foot. Whatever speed feels good for you today, faster or slower. But listen, this is a strength workout. I'd rather your speed be slower because this weight load is slowing you down. If you're whipping through this, my friend, if you're like, yeah, move it through it super fast, you're actually not doing it right. Slow it down, find the weight load that slows you down. That's what it's about. It's not about whipping through this as fast as possible. Now, overhead press, you can use dumbbells as I demonstrated. And if you'd like to use a barbell, if you've got a suitable barbell, we're gonna do this with a barbell. Totally up to you. 12 reps. You could use 5-pound dumbbells. You could use 30-pound dumbbells. You can use a barbell. You could even use a handled resistance band if you want. But if you've got a barbell, I like this combo because you just go straight from your step-ups into your overhead press. I really love it. It's so good. Make sure that that barbell is ending directly up over your head. Really extending out, neck nice and long. 12 reps. We take a short break. And then we're gonna repeat. So how did that feel? Because if you should be a little out of breath, you should definitely be feeling your musculature. And if you're not, I encourage you to challenge your weight load on both of these exercises. So step up, you can hold 2 dumbbells at your sides. You can hold, well, 1 dumbbell each side, right? A dumbbell in each hand at your shoulders. You could also have 1 dumbbell holding like a goblet squat if you want. You could do a body weight only. You know, if you're still learning this exercise and you want to use something for support, use something to help you get here if this is newer for you. That's totally okay. Listen, stepping, this is a level change. This is an important exercise for you to do. And if you're struggling with this, you need to be working on this because for the rest of your life, you're gonna have to go up and down stairs. Whether it's at the bank or the post office or the grocery store or your home, you gotta be good at going up and down stairs. And that's one reason why I love level change exercises. And this is the Mac Daddy, the Mac Mama of all level change exercises, is actually stepping up onto a surface. So let's go into that second set. If you're using a barbell, be very conscientious about how you get that barbell on your shoulders and take a moment to really orient before you move, choosing the weight load that's right for you. Right foot up, and we step. When you push off that back leg from the ground, it's helpful to have a little bend. So put a little bend in that back knee as you step onto your surface. It helps to unlock both of the hips, and it actually really helps you to activate into glutes and hamstrings better on that stepping leg. So just soften that back knee right before you step. It kind of happens simultaneously, but you'll notice when you do it, of the leg that's stepping, your right leg here, you're gonna feel your hamstring on that leg fire up a whole lot more. When you slightly microbend and softly, what I'm referring to here is pushing off with a slightly bent knee, so you're pushing off this back toe here as you step up, actually makes it better on the stepping leg. So a little micro bend and then step. If you feel it, fire up in that arch of the foot that's on the ground. You're on the right path, okay? Driving into the midfoot of that foot on your surface. Left foot stepping, back knee soft. Chest leads, you can go faster or slower than me. Whatever really works for you. Your heart rate should come up a little to some degree because this is a bit cardiovascular. Definitely. Lead with your chest. 12 reps. 1 more. Take a moment to transition. If you're using a barbell, you want to take a moment and pop it up over. Reset from here. Or grab those dumbbells or your handled resistance band. And let's go for overhead press. Another favorite of mine. So just like that dumbbell upright row that we did for shoulders a moment ago, same thing. Your arms are going up here, right? But you still want to drop into your shoulder girdle. Don't reach way up out of your shoulders here. Now listen, you might be doing this because it's all you know. Drop that shoulder girdle. So the shoulders release to your hips. And look at what happens when you do that. Doesn't that feel awesome? It puts so much more of the work onto your deltoids. And your deltoid is where we want it. Your triceps are helping here, your abs are helping, your traps are helping, but we want this on delts. And the more you keep that shoulder girdle released, the more you're gonna load into those delts. Deal? Do a third set if you'd like. And let me show you our fifth and final superset. So we've got, as I've been foreshadowing throughout the workout, we've got split squat, which, as I said, I know a lot of you in my community curse the Bulgarian split squat. Split squat, I argue, is actually harder because both feet are level. So body weight or with dumbbells, you can also use a barbell. You know who you are. Feet together, bend your knees, step back like we did at the beginning, the top of the toes. Make sure there's space between your left and your right. You're coming straight down and up for 12. Dumbbells at your sides or at your shoulder. Second exercise, we've got dumbbell side raise. Again, shoulders back and down. Super important. Shoulders back and down. Slight bend in the elbow. Baby bend. Baby bend in the elbow. Straight out to the side and down. Okay? Shoulders back and down. Super, super, super important. You don't have to pause at the top, but depending on your weight load, if your weight load's doable, give me a little pause at the top, okay? If you can. If your weight load's heavier, no pause. Grab your dumbbells, split squat. Feet together, bend your knees, take your step back, take a moment to get into position. This exercise is totally different when you take a moment to really get into position. Front leg's doing the majority of the work, and we've got 12 reps. Driving into that front leg. Yes, the back leg is working also. Back leg is doing stuff, but I want you thinking mostly about that front leg. Driving into the front heel. So good for hamstrings. So good. So good for the back of the thigh and the glutes. Staying nice and tall, tummy drawn in. Own speed, whatever works for you. And 12 reps. One more, and then you're just gonna step forward and reset. So, step forward, feet together, bend your knees, steady yourself, step back, find your position, make sure you've got space from left to right between the feet, and we got 12 reps. This exercise in particular, I think it's extra important to make sure you've got your position right at the bottom. And that position at the bottom comes from your starting position at the top. So take that moment to really get into good position at the top before you even begin the exercise. Really setting it up for success. One leg's gonna be weaker than the other, totally normal. 12 reps. And then we're gonna go right into side raise. Whatever weight load is good for you. So, any weight load above 8 pounds on a side raise is definitely a bit more practiced. So if you are above 8 pounds, do make sure your technique is spot on, because it's so easy to start to shift your technique on this exercise when that weight load is even the tiniest bit heavy. So for me, that previous weight load was just a tiny bit heavy, and I couldn't really hit perfect position here. But with a slightly lighter dumbbell, I'm able to hit gorgeous perfect position here. It feels amazing, and I can pause. Then, the last 2 reps, I really have to dig in a bit more to get it right. Shoulders back and down still, 12 reps. Pausing at the top, keeping the chest forward, and if you're doing this right, if you're really doing this exercise right, you should actually feel it in your posterior deltoids at the top. If you get all this positioning perfect, it's gonna hit the back of the shoulder as much as it hits medial delt. And so much of that, I can't stress it enough, so much of that is Shoulders back in space, which is called retracted. Shoulders down in space, which is called depressed. Pulling your shoulder blades towards each other, pinching them together at your spine. And if you move from here, everything changes. But if you don't have that locked in and you're moving loosey-goosey from up here, you're kind of wasting 30% of your effort, energy, intention. You're gonna get a lot more out of an exercise, especially what we're doing here, when you get into your proper positioning at the beginning. It's a big game changer. So set 2, feet together, bend your knees. Get that front foot bent, slightly open, turned slightly open, finding that perfect, awesome start position. Dumbbells or not, completely up to you. If you're more advanced on this exercise, you can even put a barbell across your shoulder, really driving into that front heel, staying nice and tall, noticing if one leg is a little stronger than the other. And if so, put some extra love into the weaker leg. Put more love in the weaker leg. More effort, more energy, more focus, more attention. Really driving into that front heel. 12 reps. And same on the other side. Reset, feet together, look down. Front toe turned open slightly, knees bent, step back. Find that great position, really settled, then begin. What a difference it makes, right? Totally different. Driving into that front heel, staying super tall. Up on the back foot, you want to stay up on the ball of the back foot and just really focus on putting your attention, effort, and energy on the front leg, but more specifically, that front heel. Chest lifted. 12 reps, tummy nice and tight. 2 more, chest super high. Count your reps. You should feel it. Those last 2 reps, you really should be feeling it. And if you're not, that's your cue to add weight or to find a slightly heavier weight. Pause at the top. Gorgeous, perfect positioning. Shoulders drawing towards each other. So when I do this exercise, I feel it equally in my upper back, at my posterior deltoid and my rhomboids, as much as I do in that big, beautiful deltoid cap. So if you really get into perfect position here, you're gonna feel it in the back. It really becomes a more comprehensive shoulder exercise. And this too is a movement pattern that's just so important for everyday life. You should be able to give me a little bit of a pause with beautiful technique, unless you're skilled, and if your weight load is heavy, you just wanna pop in and pop out. You just wanna get in and out of it. The heavier a weight load is, the less you pause. Go ahead for a 3rd set if you want. And if you're with me, I'm just gonna take you through a little cool down. Let's take our feet separated and come into spinal twist. Let your arms flow around you. Activate the glute of the leg that you're turning away from. Let your rib cage rotate around as if you're gonna look over your shoulder fully behind you. Really activate the glute when you rotate away from it, because it really allows you to come into a safer spinal rotation here, okay? Nice and easy. Feel good and relax. Let's take a big inhale up. Exhale, bring your fingertips locked behind your head. Press your elbows back as if you were pushing your elbows into a wall behind you, and press your chest forward. Chest forward, shoulders back and down. Elbows pressed back, you can lift your chin and feel that awesome stretch. You should feel your shoulder blades activate towards each other. Chest lifted, pushing forward. Relax it out. We're gonna go into a quad stretch, as you should be doing every single day. If you need something to stabilize you for balance, please grab it, a chair, a wall, a whatever. Feet together, bend your knees. Bring one foot up, okay? First, you want to tuck your pelvis under, bring the knee back. Keep your pelvis tucked under while you draw that knee back in space. Keep that pelvis tucked under. If you feel pressure at your knee, this bent knee, that is your cue that your quads are way too tight. You should feel this in the belly of the quad, mid-thigh, as a beautiful, wonderful stretch. And if you feel anything else, your quads are super tight. Because my quads are tight, and I only feel this really and truly in the belly of the muscle, mid-thigh. So when your quads are tight, this will feel pressurized on your knee. It might even feel like kind of stressful on the knee. And that is your indication that you gotta be doing this every single day. Like super, super important, because that's your cue that your quads are tight. Tight quads means knee problems. Tight quads means hip problems. And that then means back problems. And then that can mean shoulder and neck problems. So if you've got shoulder and neck problems, and this is hard for you, that's the problem. It's tight quads. So make sure you're doing that exercise every single day. One more big inhale up. Exhale it out. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.